You declared on the first day of the conference here at Consensus that you are adding a further $25 million to your Fairshake investment. In addition to the $25 million you provided them last year, this is a pro-crypto kit. Tell me about your decision to invest in Fairshake and how it advances your main points. Being competitive in terms of policy and regulatory framework for all things crypto is crucial for the United States. Sadly, it is not where we have been. In many respects, the regulatory environment has been really hostile, and rather than working to establish clarity and unambiguous rules of the road, we've actually made things worse by allowing the SEC, under Gensler, to create confusion through the filing of lawsuits that occasionally even contradict one another. Therefore, my personal goal in continuing to promote Fairshake and indicating that we will keep doing this is to elect individuals that prioritize consumer protection while simultaneously being pro-innovation and pro-crypto. We believe that by getting that combination correct, we're actually advancing the entire agenda and catching up to what has previously been observed in other global economies. Thus, RFK will be speaking later today. I think I've seen him at almost every event. Trump, meantime, spoke at the Libertarian National Convention this past weekend in Washington, D.C., and made strong statements in favor of cryptocurrencies. He is now more of a contender for crypto. Meanwhile, others in the industry seem to believe that Biden is softening his position on cryptocurrencies. This presidential election season seems to be the first time that cryptocurrency is being discussed more than it has ever been. What are your opinions on that dynamic? As a response to that, it's a fantastic time to be alive. When I initially became seriously interested in cryptocurrency 10 years ago, I could not have imagined what we are experiencing now. However, I also think of it as the unavoidable march forward. These technologies have the potential to enhance many aspects of transaction settlement, including transparency, speed, cost, and speed. Therefore, it seems to me that there is only forward motion. Our technology, which ought to be widely accepted and bipartisan, has turned politicized. I genuinely believe that. Particularly Elizabeth Warren kind of stuck out and spread false information, I believe, saying things like everyone using cryptocurrency is doing bad things. And nothing could be further from the reality than this. There are several examples of amazing entrepreneurs creating amazing technologies to increase the effectiveness of financial transactions, even at this conference. Furthermore, consider that a portion of our financial system dates back 50 or 60 years. It's time to update it for the advantage of businesses and consumers in the internet era. Fighting against the unavoidable march of development is, in my opinion, just foolish. Therefore, I don't find it all that odd that it has become a presidential concern. A lot of enthusiasm is present. You experienced it here too, I'm sure. Many people in this industry are quite passionate, and they will vote with their convictions. And that, in my opinion, is crucial. Indeed, and other surveys are showing that people are becoming more concerned about cryptocurrency. Swing state voters are showing greater interest than ever in the digital asset space. Additionally, a lot of legislation supporting cryptocurrencies is making its way through Congress. Fit 21 passed the House last week, demonstrating increased Democratic support for the laws that passed SAB 121 a few weeks earlier. Stablecoin laws, individuals are more optimistic about that than they were a year ago. But will these proposals be completed and passed into law by the end of the year? To what extent are you optimistic? I'm definitely a little dubious that it happens before the election if you're asking me where they are signed into law by the end of the year. It is common knowledge that the legislative process proceeds cautiously and slowly. Therefore, I'm ecstatic about the progress we've achieved in the last 3 weeks. And in my opinion, those 2 or 3 weeks may have been the most significant in the history of American cryptocurrency. However, I continue to believe that passing the legislation could need to wait until after the election, possibly even until the end of the year, or perhaps even into the first half of the following year. But once more, I see this as really positive because of the way the U.S. government is approaching this and the fact that the winds have changed. Additionally, while the Biden administration hasn't yet made any clear judgments, you have witnessed, as you previously mentioned, a softening of some of its rhetoric. And in my opinion, motivated by the realization that this is a subject that people are passionate about, as well as, to be honest, the reality that it has become somewhat partisan, which may prove to be decisive in a close election. As you mentioned, there has been a lot of activity in the cryptocurrency market during the past several weeks. Many people were taken aback by the SEC's action last week to alter the rules, which were sort of required to clear the path for these spot ETFs. How did you respond? Unavoidable. As you may know, I believe the SEC has been losing in court. They have been losing in the political arena, and I believe they are losing in the court of public opinion as well. And with the Bitcoin ETF, we most definitely seen that. A combination of judicial rulings and sheer force forced them to approve the Bitcoin ETF. Therefore, I believe that they were aware that the same outcome would probably occur if they did not endorse and approve the ETF. Therefore, in my opinion, that's also a very good thing. On Capitol Hill, however, the SEC was defeated by the voter on SAB 121. In the Ripple case, they clearly lost. I believe that Gensler has taken a flawed approach to regulating this industry, and he hasn't put in the same kind of effort that other nations like the UK, Japan, or the UAE have put into providing clarity, guidelines, and frameworks. And in the United States, we simply haven't done that. Now, the continuing dispute between you and the SEC was mostly portrayed as a victory for Ripple over the agency. The judge made a thoughtful choice in this case. According to them, XRP was not a token when it came to retail use. For the institutions, the situation was different. What is the current status of that case? Therefore, as of right now, the judge and the courts have decided that XRP is not a security in and of itself. To us, that is everything. These are the kinds of technologies that need to be given room to live, grow, and prosper. And it seems to me that the matter of Ripple and the SEC is just another example of the unavoidable advancement of such technologies. We believe it to be mostly settled. That mostly worked in Ripple's favor. In a particular case, the judge determined that an institutional sales agreement and an investment contract were related since the contract may have been a security. And those were determined to be unregistered security sales. We are currently in the last, let's say, 0.5 miles of that marathon. I believe a settlement will occur hopefully this summer. As you may recall, the SEC requested $2 billion in fines. That will definitely be in the millions, not the billions, as far as I can tell. And once more, I believe it is foolish to even come out and request that in the absence of any charges or conclusive evidence of careless conduct, fraud, or any other of those things. As you may know, the prior settlements they've completed have only accounted for 1% or 2% of the total amount at stake. Thus, it seems to me to be just posturing. You're entering the stablecoin market then. With Tether, USDC, other participants, and a collective market cap of $200 billion, it's rather congested. Why this time? Indeed, based on my analysis, the market is currently valued between $150 and $200 billion. You are correct in that regard. According to predictions, there will be between $2 trillion and $3 trillion. Therefore, the current growth is 10 to 20 times that. That being said, those are kind of interesting and rapidly expanding markets in and of themselves. Second, I believe there will probably be some changes in market share. Tether is currently by far the most popular. For better or worse, as we can discuss, the US government has kind of openly voiced worries about Tether and how it conducts business abroad while using US dollars as collateral. I believe that the American government is adopting the stance that anyone who represents a US currency is subject to US government regulation. Today, it isn't the case. Additionally, I believe that the market share may change in some way. However, in general, I believe Tether will keep expanding. USDC will probably keep rising. As that industry expands, I believe there will be plenty of space for a solid Ripple coin. What does this signify for XRP2? Are they complementary, or does the stablecoin take the place of XRP in terms of utility? We fully support the XRP ledger's expansion and improvement, as well as the stability of the market and ecosystem. We believe that the presence of a stablecoin on the XRP ledger really increases the ledger's liquidity. Stable currencies are already a part of our payment processes. Thus, this is merely a logical continuation. XRP will always be our top priority. However, in some situations and locations, our clients want that the US dollar be exchanged for a Ripple stablecoin, which we believe makes sense in those scenarios. When you mention your customers, do you mean retail customers, banks, or you used to control 30% of MoneyGram and we're heavily focused on international remittances, whatever you mean. So when you say that, who is the client you have in mind? Ripple has B2 billion clients exclusively. Our primary goal is to sell blockchain infrastructure, some for custody and some for payments to financial institutions. We'll keep putting a lot of effort into being the industry's top enterprise-focused blockchain business. Are you ready to make your debut? That's a valid query. I'm going to pause here to say, but look, Gary Gensler is the USCC chair right now. As you can expect, I'm not very well liked in the SEC's offices. When the IPO markets heated back up yesterday, the president of the NYC was seated in that chair and indicated she welcomed applications from the cryptocurrency ecosystem. I believe that Lynn Martin is a progressive role model for where we ought to be. No, Gary Gensler is not there. Therefore, it doesn't seem to make sense for Ripple to go public in the US at this time until the SEC approves an S1. As an American public firm, Coinbase most likely regrets that choice. We've examined it. Would we think about going public outside of the US? Of course, that is one of the options. It's just not on our short-term agenda right now. I was speaking with Coinbase about their Wells notice and legal battle with the SEC at the same time last year. With numerous criminal trials ongoing and cryptocurrency companies navigating bankruptcy court, the atmosphere was very different. It seems as though a lot has transpired since then, and identifying Bitcoin ETF is a part of that. However, what level of optimism do you possess? To what extent do you think the industry has changed? For example, is there more optimism? Are people becoming more upbeat? Do they believe that the difficult days of 2022 are now firmly in the past? Look, I believe that our surroundings are more realistic. It's not about optimism against pessimism or reality, in my opinion. And, one of the great things I often say this is that this is a truly magical time to be alive. The value of the cryptocurrency market is estimated to be between $2 and $25 trillion. That is in spite of all the difficulties you just mentioned. That's in spite of the fact that some people are in jail and that important figures have been overthrown. It's in spite of the numerous issues we've encountered. I continue to believe that these technologies are inevitable and that cryptocurrency is moving in the right direction. And I anticipate that growth will continue. In order for us to proceed, it helps that some of that has been sorted up, clarified, and settled. As we previously discussed, I must admit that I'm most excited about receiving complete closure from the SEC, confirming that all of the accusations they made or addressed were made evident to the court, allowing us to proceed without any unanswered questions.